All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our start of our meetings for the year or the upcoming 25-26 year. Welcome back. Hope everybody had great summers and got to spend time with family. So we're opening our first executive meeting today. So welcome, everybody.
There is nobody online. Nobody in here except for us, so there is no public comment. We will do what we always do. If you flip the page over, our agenda for ever is one that you all suggested. The Alexandria City Public Schools Cmte program administrator, Dr. Tricia Jacobs, will be here. Well, she's a member of our group, but she'll be here to talk about some of the things that are going on, maybe some of the needs that they have. Current technology education is extremely important, and it's supporting the youth was something that the public was interested in. The other things that we'll be discussing, we'll have chair election. Stacy has agreed to, I guess, agreed to be nominated again. And since nobody has, congratulations, she'll be elected. And then Monica from Washington Gas will have vice chair nominations. And then the election at our next meeting, and Monica is interested in continuing that role. Labor market, usually we have Marissa, I can't remember her new last name, but leave it before. We will have a market update about what's going on in our region from her associate, Helen Ding. Obviously unemployment has increased. Probably will continue to increase, but there are people that are getting placed from what I've seen, so that's good. But it's a good general overview of what's going on. September 18th will be before that end date of September 30th, when many of the federal workers who took the buyout package be done. Those individuals will not be dislocated workers. They will not be eligible for unemployment insurance. They basically voluntarily leaving. And so how many of those individuals will affect our Greater Washington regional workforce, our Northern Virginia workforce, our Arlington workforce? I have absolutely no clue. So we'll see what goes on there. Sure.
You said they're not.
No.
No, so unemployment insurance is for people that were laid off basically at no fault of their own. So think by store closing or plant closing or just downsizing, and say we're going to eliminate positions. All right, well, you're out of a job. Boom. And so there were a lot of people in the federal government, USAID is one of them, where they received notice saying your job is no longer, we're going to lay off. But when they sent that message saying, would you like to take a buyout? Yeah.
Because you're volunteering to,
You're basically
saying, okay, I'll volunteer to leave.
early retirement.
Early retirement, right? There's no option.
And so there's a lot of those individuals.
A
I
lot.
think we all know people that are affected by
Yes.
that are taking their, and then think about what's the next thing. And so my thing is, how many people are still in the high working ages that are going to need to turn around and find something new and haven't yet started to do that. There are a lot of other people that are close to retirement and they'll figure stuff out. So I wonder what that is. We are, just as an update, we won, I think I said last meeting, we won $150,000 to put together an executive coaching service for this population. We will be launching that first week of October and promoting it out to a group of individuals that we already know have been laid off in Alexandria and Arlington and are interested in additional support. And whoever, how many of them will actually want to take it, then we'll start promoting more and more. So we're doing some things there. We have an event on that we'll just send emails out to everybody on September 17th for professional workers. Really, that event is less. While we'll have job fairs there, really that's an antiquated thing, but it's a good way for people to talk to people. The notion of the class is how to could do a career pivot, how to use AI to help with the career pathways, how to start your own business, and then the emotional, the mental, emotional aspect of it all, how to kind of deal with that. And then we'll have resume reviewing because, you know, some of these individuals, even though they pop it into AI, it's still
10 pages long.
great.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. So yeah, we're doing those things. So there are things.
There is a shift in just based off of being out in the field and attending these career events. That 40 to 50-year-old, 55-year-old, that's what we're seeing the most at these events when it comes to that mid-level manager that's been laid off. That's what we're seeing the most impacts from. And how do you get them where they need to be without some of them, you know, you have to take a pay cut. You got to start from scratch and they don't want to.
Yeah.
And so I think when they talk about that mental part, that's a lot to do with that for that.
Come to, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but they come to Jesus moment. But that's,
Yeah.
and we've been dealing with that way before this.
Yeah.
Happened. That has been something that's always been through the workforce where older workers are no longer with their company looking for something new. And the ego, which is deservedly so, that comes with, you know, their experience and whatnot. And it's hard to tell. You have to, you know, this is a negotiation again. And as much of experience that you bring, you're back competing with everybody else. So I think that there's there is a lot. So there's a doom and gloom, but the opportunities are 120,000 jobs are available for us. All right. Next page. So we're at the consent agenda notes page, and so it's this page right here. Sorry. So these are the things that'll be in the consent agenda. We will have, and we're going to go through it all as we always do in our meetings. Some things that are not in there. If you look at the sixth bullet down, we owe a funding transfer. You know, we've got our next allotment of funding. We received a 13% decrease in funding from the year before. I think we're always going to, from now on, get less money. And we want to be able to transfer as much of it from dislocated worker to as adult as we can. We want to do that for a few reasons. One, we still are serving people that have barriers to employment. They haven't gone away. And so the things that we've been doing since the Biden administration and before of helping individuals that really need to be built up to be competitive in the marketplace, we still need to support them, and that would be through our adult program. Also, you know, while we will have dislocated workers, you know, from the federal government, and we are serving some of them now, I suspect that we will have more of the individuals that took the buyout offer. They can't be served with dislocated worker funding. They will have to be served by adults. So we just want to make sure that we have the flexibility through the year to move money around. You would think that we should just have that ability to do it, but by law, I'd have to ask permission for you all. And then once and once you all approve it, or once the regional workforce council approve it, then I have to ask the governor to approve it. It's not sensible, but that'll be one of the biggest things.
Is that a new process, asking the governor?
No, when they say ask the governor, it's whoever is assigned to it. So it's secretary. But no, it's been around since this law's been around. But we go to advocate for things. This is one of those things where we say, well, this is kind of a bureaucratic overreach. Then we have a bunch of policies that we have to go through. Position statement, trade providers. So we'll just go through that one-on-one. All right, so we're going to flip through this. The next thing, we have our meeting notes. Wonderful. Let's go to the one-stop operator report, which is this sheet. There. This is for the past year. Our customer satisfaction rate in both one stops is, you know, kind of a B level. A lot of that's because individuals just want us to get them a job. And it's one of the issues that we've had from a branding standpoint. We're not a placement agency. I don't know of any placement agency anymore. Even temp agencies are very selective. So that's where we get a lot of our grief. But from our business services, people, employers that we're serving, percents. For the first 3 quarters of last year, we received a lot of inbound calls, needing help because we were swimming in a shallow talent pool. Last quarter, we've seen less calls because we're no longer swimming in a shallow talent pool and employers don't need us as much. But when we do support employers, they are, in general, pleased with what we do. We've had about almost 2,800 visitors to our American Job Center, either physically, about another 1,400 call center. One of the things that we need to start doing is figuring out our traffic online. We offer a lot of free things online, and so really need to start incorporating that. But I think at the same time as we have had, we've been in operation, we've also, our staff size has shrunk a bit. And so I think, with the numbers that we're serving, with the capacity that we have, I don't think that we could certainly serve more, especially with some of the self-service stuff that, but I think we're doing well there. For Arlington's vendor that's doing the WIO program, they're doing a great job. They're meeting all the goals and helping the people that need to be helped. Alexandria is doing well too. So, we're on. It might not appear when you look down here with the 60s and 70%, but we are on track. We're meeting many of these goals. So I don't see us having any major issues.
And how are we measuring the customer satisfaction?
It's an email to them after the fact, how we do. Also, I think there are some during the visits that we have with them asking for that. I will be honest, customer satisfaction is something that I don't necessarily believe is an accurate measure. People who are pissed off are gonna, I think it's a matter of who comes, like for me, an employer perspective, I really I don't care about asking them do we do a good job. If they come back to us, that means that we did a good job. Our numbers show that many of the business that we work with, I think it's like about 75-80% of the business that we work with come back the next year asking for help. I guess we did a good job. But we'll continue to track. Any questions so far? All right. Let's go to the WIO budget, which is the letter. Basically, we are given a budget from the state. I'm not sure. I said yes. A 13% cut across the board. So our total allocation was $840,000 this year. Almost $815,000. A lot of money. What is not shown here is the investment that the city and county make. They're paying for space, keep the operations going. My salary, other people's salaries. So really, this money is like $14,000. Some of it goes to our career counselor salaries, but most of it goes to the end user, the training, and the career coaching and things of that nature. So unlike many other areas in Virginia and across the country, I would say, a good 60-70% of this money is going to activities that are direct to the individual, which is pretty good. We try to lower as much as possible the overhead that we take out of this money. It's broken up by the 2 jurisdictions and the admin that we can use. What was the program? And when you see minimum served, it seems like a small number. Basically, it's based off of the total maximum amount of money that we could spend on the individual, which we hardly ever spend a maximum. So we always are going to spend or serve more than we have right here. But what I want to do is be able to say, you better serve a minimum of these people based on the money. Yeah. Any questions? All right. Moving forward. Going to policies. Some of these policies, we had our last monitoring report and, the things that were found where we need to make some changes in some of our policies. And so that's what these are. So for the equal, opportunity non-discrimination policy, all of these changes here are changes, that were requested by the state to, so that they are, that they conform to federal law. Go through several pages. And you'll see the self-sufficiency policy. It's this one here. So you just have to go through maybe 5 or 6 pages.
Yep.
Usually, I can't figure out what the best way of presenting is. Usually I would just have the changes were on one page and that's it, but some people like context. Self-sufficiency policy, that was just updated because we've had numbers for what poverty rates for and lower living level income chart. So I just updated that. So that's one page here you can push around. Next page, it says policy governing virtual meetings and participation. There is no changes in this policy. We're just by law required to approve it every year. It's 17. So it's this one right here.
Yeah, page 17.
Yeah. I think you can go back. Oh yeah, you're good. The next one there. Yep. Yeah, this one. Yeah, so we're just updating, we're just reapproving this. And there's really no questions, I guess, on this. These are things that are mandated. Please let me know if you want me to stop for a second before we get into the legislative position page. That's where we'll spend a little bit of time on. All right. So every year, we have positions that we send to our liaisons, the General Assembly, to our our General Assembly, to our elected officials at the federal level, say this is what we think, and this is what we believe, and actually they're being used. And so I know that when our General Assembly liaisons from Alexandria, Arlington go down to Richmond, they bring down the positions of the Chamber of Economic Development, of us, and a few others. And when they talk to legislators about bills that they're pushing up, and they're looking at what we put down and says, well, this kind of fits in with what we're doing, so that's good. This is something, as an example, there could be well, let's talk about the last bullet here, support additional funding to support reemployment needs of residents affected by federal budget cuts. If there is a bill that's presented by anybody down there in Richmond that has anything to do with supporting those, then us, along with the other, some of the other parties that I mentioned, liaison and say, yeah, well, all these groups think this is important, so Arlington County government thinks that is behind this. And so while you would think that, it's great, well, they would probably, the more that we show that the more that our liaisons show that that we have interested citizens parties behind it, the greater chance it has to get passed. I don't know, but it does. And so there are, if you look at some of these other bullets, when there are bills talk about anything education related, anything economic related, workforce related, these are consideration points. I was talking to Congressman Byer about last month, I think, about a few different things, and he raised a question, and I said, one of the things that we're considering as a position is that last bullet, which is a no-brainer. It's not like rocket science, but we are very for doing whatever we can to support the individuals that were laid off. And it's not just, helping them find a job. There was I can't remember where I read it. There are some states that are looking at how they can help support the housing needs of this population. We were talking about commercial real estate before. Several months ago, I was at an event promoting our services to this population. And this guy was telling me, he's been in one of the agencies for years, wants cash. Now what's he going to do? He has rental property. And they said, oh, by the way, the person renting his apartment also works for the federal government. And so now you have a problem where if people can't get, reemployed, you could be losing out on rent.
Right, yeah.
Losing out. So I think, so there are, something like that. If the state was looking at some sort of rental support, this bullet would say, yeah, we're behind that. So why don't everybody just take a look? I read this real quick. A lot of it's the same as we've had before. Let me know if there's anything that gives anybody agita. This was open for the council members to add and discuss for a few meeting sessions. So it should be ready to go.
Dave, I don't see anything about disability, services. Is that a population that's ever called out specifically?
So we serve them. I mean,
Yeah.
we have services specifically for, let me take a look. Education. Support achievement. Well, what we can do is student achievement, improve students of all abilities, which is a kind of a tagline to shoehorn, and really anybody, including those with limited disabilities, into it. Because that would take care of that. Because that's a good one. Care education. Support efforts to expand access to appropriate care. We get to disability employment.
Mhm.
When you talk about work-based learning and all that, that should include them as well. What's the first bullet? Adult education, community colleges. Because there's a population of adults with abilities that don't get the services that they need.
Support additional fund. Education. ED, which is disability service providers. That would be.
That would work.
So it'd be supported. So the bullets would change to the first bullet: support additional funding for local workforce development, adult education, colleges, disability, so disability service providers, and Virginia small and medium-sized businesses to blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Next bullet would be support education initiatives that support student achievement through the achievement. I'd approve all students. Put it that way. Improve all student achievement. So it's not just whatever.
Encompasses everything.
Anybody, including career education, blah, blah, blah. We go down to the second to last bullet. Support efforts to expand access to affordable childcare, early education, disability employment, substance abuse services, public transportation, responsible network.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that'd be good.
Perfect.
And I really just like appreciate the shout out to adult education in there because I think we're just always.
Mhm.
So to specifically say it, I really.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We want so much out of this workforce, but we spend so much little developing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. All right. And then finally, the remaining pages. our, George Mason University has a couple new, programs they want to put on our eligible training provider list. They have students, that are interested in taking them for, using WIOA funds, so. And I've checked, there's demand, curriculum, there are elements of soft skills, which is something that we care about. And so it's, yeah. Worth including. There's really no reason why I couldn't include it.
Hmm.
And that is the agenda. Everybody. Anybody have any questions about that? Motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded,
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
All right, so the last thing we have is, so we have, Dr. Jacobs, we won't have, remember, we don't have a lot of time. We have an hour. We have an hour in our meetings. You know, usually start late because.
Let's drag it in.
Because we need to have a quorum, so we just wait until people are there. We'll have, go through this approval, we'll go through, get the labor market update. So really only have maybe 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes for Dr. The impetus again on why we're having her talk and then her counterpart on public schools is, you know, the question of what are we doing to help prepare youth and what are, you know, what's needed, because maybe there's some things that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the ability or time to ask maybe one or two questions that you can answer, because there's going to be, she'll have a lot of content. So I guess the question, or what I'd like to do is now just kind of brainstorm what that one or two questions are. I think they're pretty simple, but you know, let me know. I think there's what is the CTE? What is your CTE program, and how is it performing, and where do you have needs?
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to get out of that?
Thinking maybe quick list of their certifications that can tie to program they potentially offer. Maybe that comes up in the needs.
I'll ask them, they can just bring that list to us.
Yeah. What they get certifications in.
What does CTE stand for?
Career technical
Education.
Okay.
So
It's more of
students can get, yeah, they can learn different trades, different educational opportunities, employment opportunities.
similar to what's being, what's just down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So everybody used to think of this as shop, right? But
Yeah.
there are a lot of tech programs. Yeah. There are a lot of healthcare programs. And so, you know, you can graduate, your son can graduate with his diploma or his
And a
high
certification.
school diploma, and
Yeah.
a certification,
Yeah,
potentially dual enrollment.
and go straight to work. So, you
Or-
know, you got apprenticeship programs, you got, like in the healthcare space, CNA, GNA, pharmacy techs, like what we do. But then you have biomedical, you have EMT, you have dental assistant, and they get all this training, and by the time they're done with high school, they're certified. So they can go straight into the workforce.
So they could go to college,
Or go to college, yeah,
part-time job,
yeah.
or be ahead of the curve.
Do
It has to, Yep. Yep.
All counties offer it. Some have more than others based off of, and in Maryland, I've been a part of a committee that's been like traveling the state to look at CTE programs. And some of these opportunities is amazing.
Yeah.
Some of them even have like an opportunity for them to become teachers when they come out of school after they get their education. So it's very innovative. It's very different to see what's out there, but there's so much more I think could be done in the CTE space.
and there's also dual enrollment. So in order
Dual
to-
enrollment, yeah,
So you can go and do these things,
yeah,
which by the way, doesn't really, you know, there are enough credits in the day where you can do these things. And get dual credit in community college.
mm-hmm.
Those credits transfer. So, you know, will there be enough to eliminate a course at whatever college you go to, university go? Maybe, maybe not. But there's also other pathways for some programs. You can graduate from Arlington Public School, go to Northern Virginia Community College for a year or two,
Mhm.
and then automatically go into George Mason and, get the diploma you're looking for. And you're
Mhm.
spending like half the money.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
a great deal.
exactly.
So there's all these things, and people don't know because parents think it's shop, and
And not encourage their kids to do it. They, yeah,
yeah. Now I will say, they have shop. It's awesome.
it is, that construction, that all of that, yeah.
Like, my daughter did it, and she knows how to fix a tire and change oil more than I
Life
do.
skills, life skills. I was
Yeah.
in Chesapeake, Virginia last year to their CTE graduation. And they had students that were working at the police department. And then they automatically became cadets after they graduated high school. Like, it was the first time they ran this program in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I was like, wow, like that is something so totally different for them to come out to be able to go into the police department, be cadets at that early age. It's a lot of opportunities that's out there.
No, so
It's not celebrated enough.
Arlington Career Center has NCIS.
Yeah.
They have, and they have the other stuff as well.
That's really
Yeah, it's nice.
I've been reading a lot about the arms race in traditional four-year college settings
Mhm.
between instructors, professors, and students. And it's basically just students feeding their coursework into AI, spit something
Yeah.
out, they submit it. So it's like,
Yeah,
A lot of,
Be expensive.
yeah,
very
is it
expensive.
worth it anymore?
Yeah,
Station to be had for sure. Especially when you got one in
Yeah.
yeah. And those students that are coming out of college are really having a hard time getting into their field. Versus if you've done some sort of CTE pathway, you're halfway there because somebody's already been working with you, someone, you have that. So
college. And you already have the certification.
you already have a certification. Yeah,
It
exactly.
is, yes. I think it's more about also the experience. So
Yes.
knowing, doing these things like, so, I'll just say this and then close the meeting. Alexandria City Public School, and their CT program had a huge, healthcare component. So there were like 9 different in-demand, healthcare certification pathways. And they did it in partnership with George Washington University Hospital.
Mhm.
And so not only were they gonna get not only get the diploma, not only get the certification, but you also have automatic, enrollment.
Yeah, and
GW. So, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
that program has since ended and they're doing some other things, but there's a lot of cool things. Companies like MCT, they go into the schools, not just the community college, but the public schools and help shape people. We're talking about AI, I don't invest in AI stocks. I invest in micro reactor stocks because if AI is really going to be this thing, there's not going to be enough power for that.
Right.
And so there are places in Central Virginia that are helping students learn about the engineering skill that are needed to get into the pathway of nuclear engineering, to regular electrical engineering to help build these things. And
What
so
about all the data centers that are going?
that's,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
These data centers, if what everybody says about AI, it takes over everything. It'll be on for 2 seconds because the second everybody does something, it will have run out of power.
Yeah.
Virginia used to have a surplus of power, and that's why businesses like to come here because we were cheap. Now we're importing power.
Yeah.
Because of our cost of.
And AI, I was reading, AI takes something like 95% of all power generation,
Yeah.
new power generation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's data centers, but it's AI.
Yeah,
Huge.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's all fossil fuel driven
Exactly,
mostly.
yeah.
So.
So look at your microreactor publicly traded companies. Or something.
Get my list from you, David.
Yeah, exactly.
Information.
Bring that list with you when you come to that meeting.
All right, anything else for the meeting? All right, motion to.
Sorry, one more thing. If we can add for the CTE director, if there's any way she can include what the current restrictions around creating
Oh, yeah.
programming, because I kind of feel like the sky's the limit, but unless there's restrictions that would require.
Yeah, then you run into restrictions around some of the licensure.
Right,
Like,
right.
for example, pharmacy technician is a big pain point because the Virginia Board of Pharmacy has now changed all these requirements. So the schools have been like battling, trying to figure this out. Where before you can do it in school, now you have to come with a trainee license. You got to go to the Board of Pharmacy and apply. And there's no easy pathway for them for that. So trying to figure all the school systems that had pharmacy tech had to get reaccredited, which was a pain. It took like a year and a half. So, sometimes it's licensure, sometimes, age restrictions are
That's
some of those pain points as well. Yeah.
I'll add that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Motion
All
to
right.
close the meeting.
So, can we get a second?
I
Second it.
All in favor? Aye. All right.
Start recording. All right.